Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? It's proclaimed the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with Jay Dash and Big Easy. Going to talk some more Bucco baseball for you. Another great debate going. Dash, I sent you a link to an article the other day, and I'm pretty sure it got your panties kerfuffled.
Well, yeah, this guy here asked Dejan Kovacevic if...
Of DK on Sports.
Yeah, if the Pirates front office is getting what they should out of the draft. He's saying because of them breaking the streak, making the playoffs, all the good foreign signings they made, that people are overlooking that they've been drafting bad. And Dejan agrees with him here. But this guy makes two examples, and he uses the Giants and the Cardinals, the two most successful teams in the National League, as examples. Now, he's saying, I live in San Francisco, and the Giants have drafted Buster Posey, Madison Bumgarner, Joe Panik, Brandon Crawford, Chris Heston, and Matt Duffy. Now, they don't draft very high, he's saying, and then he just says the Cardinals seem to do pretty well, too. Now, if you look, Buster Posey, yeah, he was a great pick. He was their 5th overall pick. The same year the Pittsburgh Pirates drafted Pedro Alvarez with the 2nd overall pick. Now, Posey is definitely a better baseball player, but you can't say Pedro Alvarez hasn't been a major league contributor, at least. You know what I mean? And then you look, you got Madison Bumgarner. Well, he actually came in 2007, before this Pirates regime was here. So, really, he's going back before this regime drafted. So he's kind of he's saying this regime isn't drafting well. Look at the Giants, but he's talking about players that were drafted before that regime. And then you got 4 other guys here. So I'm going to say Posey was a great pick during this. Well, Dejan Kovacevic says over 7 years they haven't drafted very well. But Buster Posey, great pick in that 7-year span. Madison Bumgarner came before that. And then you got 4 other guys here. Joe Panik, Brandon Crawford, Chris Heston, and Matt Duffy. Now, if you look, we'll start with Joe Panik here. He was their 1st-round pick in 2011, the same year the Pirates drafted Garrett Cole. Now, the Pirates had the #1 overall pick, so they got the best player in the draft in Garrett Cole. Now, the Giants did a good job in drafting Joe Panik here, and he looks like he's going to be a pretty good ball player. I mean, he's having a great season, hitting .316, a .384 on base, and he's showing more pop than he ever did in the minors, so they might get a little bit lucky with his power as well. But you got to slow down a little bit. He's had 563 major league at-bats so far, so he's not already an elite player or anything. We'll have to see. I think this guy is going to be a good ball player, and that was a good pick in the 1st round for him, if he does turn out to be a good ball player. And then they say...
So what span are we talking about here? From 2011? Or what?
No. Well, Dejan Kovacevic is saying since this new regime came in, they've had 8 drafts now. Now, he's not considering this past draft that just happened because obviously those guys haven't done anything yet. But he's talking from 2008 to 2014.
Okay.
Now, if you look, though, man, when you get drafted, you got to go through rookie ball, A short, A full, A advanced, AA, AAA, and then you hit the bigs. Now, sometimes if you're drafted out of college, you can skip one of the lower levels or something. Maybe you skip A short, maybe you skip rookie ball and go straight to A advanced, something like that. But you got to remember, there's at least, let's say, 1 season you play rookie ball and A short. And then you got A full for another season. You got A advanced in another season. And then AA in another season. Now, even if you go fast there, you can't, from 2012, 2013, and 2014, you're not going to see guys in the major leagues yet. And he mentions that. He says, Dejan says, the only meaningful evaluations of any draft is how many players get to the majors and how many make an impact in the major leagues. And he's not wrong. I mean, they got to do it in the major leagues before they're anything, correct?
Right.
But what have we drafted? Mostly pitchers in that span?
Well, players he failed to mention here because they haven't been into AAA yet. He doesn't mention Tyler Glasnow. He doesn't mention Nick Kingham, Reese McGuire. Austin Meadows is another one he doesn't mention. All these guys have been drafted recently, and they haven't hit AAA yet. But there's a lot of guys there that still have to hit the AAA level and then hit the big league level. But they're all from 2012 to 2014. So you really can't consider them. So he shouldn't say in a 7-year span only Pedro Alvarez, Jordy Mercer, Garrett Cole, Justin Wilson, and Jared Hughes have been who made the big league level. Well, you got to understand, he should have said through 4 years. You know what I mean? Because you can't count the past 3 drafts yet. No team has guys coming out from 2013, 2014 yet. You understand what I'm saying?
That's the way baseball is.
But he mentions Brandon Crawford as another one. And this guy, yeah, he's a good player this season. He's actually had a great season for him. He was a round 4 pick in 2008. Now, look, way back in 2008 is when this guy's from. So he's in the bigs now, and he's actually having his breakout season now at the age of 28. And before coming into this year, a lot of people believe Jordy Mercer was the better shortstop. Now, right now, Brandon Crawford's the better shortstop. But really, Jordy Mercer was the better shortstop before this season. It's not like all these guys are fantastic or anything. Look, he mentions Chris Heston as a guy. This is a guy that is making his first impact in the major leagues this year. He was drafted back in 2009. He's 27 years old. He pitched 19 games in the bigs, made 17 starts, has a 3.84 ERA. Now, this is one of the guys that you can count as drafted in that 4 or 5 year span. But again, there's only a couple guys here, and he's already given them credit for being great players. You got Matt Duffy. This is another guy. Now, he reminds me of Matt Carpenter a little bit. And he was actually drafted in round 18 in 2012. Now, this is a guy that was drafted in 2012 and made it to the bigs already because he was drafted out of college. He was an advanced bat a little bit. But really, he's having a better season than most people thought. A lot of people didn't even believe this guy was going to be a great player. Obviously, drafted round 18. So sometimes you got to get a little bit lucky, whether internal or external, sort of like a Josh Harrison. He wasn't drafted by the Pirates. He was drafted by the Cubs, but they definitely got lucky with him. He's a very good baseball player for him, and no one expected him to make a major league impact the way he has.
I don't expect him to continue either.
Well, he's done it for over a full season now. He's going to be going into
barely over a full season. He only took over for Pedro halfway through the year last year.
Something around halfway. So there's the Giants he mentioned in that time span. Then he just says the Cardinals do pretty well too. But if you think, the Cardinals have Colton Wong. He's an excellent second baseman for him. He came up in their system. That's one position player. They got Matt Carpenter, who a lot of people thought wasn't going to be a very good baseball player. He played in the minor leagues deep into his career, came up later as an older guy, and he's a very good baseball player for him. But they got lucky, sort of like the Josh Harrison and maybe the Matt Duffy here. And then you have John Jay, who isn't a great baseball player, but he came up through their system, and he's made a major league impact. Other than that, Jason Hayward came from the Braves. Matt Holliday came from the A's. They have no first baseman, but they do have Mark Reynolds there, who came from the Indians. They have their shortstop, Johnny Peralta, is a great shortstop, but he came from Detroit.
Well, Tavares would have been a good player for him,
yeah,
but he unfortunately
Tavares definitely
died.
That's sort of like Gregory Polanco there. He was actually an international signing too, though.
I think people
What
get
about
the wrong
Walker
impression.
and Wainwright? Were they brought up to the
Yeah,
system?
but not in this 7-year period.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, Molina's another one. He came up, but this was past that 7-year period. But yeah, you got Pedro Alvarez, Jordy Mercer, Garrett Cole, who was obviously a great pick. Justin Wilson turned into Francisco Cervelli. Sometimes you got to deal. The Cardinals deal a lot of players to bring in good players as well, and the Pirates have done it too. They dealt Dilson Herrera, who is now the top second base prospect in baseball, along with Vic Black, another one of their high draft. Well, it was a compensation pick, but it was still a high draft pick. They dealt him to bring in Marlon Byrd from the Mets that one season, so they make the deals too.
I don't like even comparing the Pirates to the Cardinals because the Cardinals have been doing it for so long now. I mean, it's more than just a 7-year span. They've been good for 15 years.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying
I don't like the Dejons even bringing them up in the article is what I'm saying. A more fair comparison is the Giants, who haven't been good for as an extended period as the Cardinals. But I don't know. I get what you're saying. The Pirates have gotten lucky a lot more in international signings than some other teams. So, okay, yeah.
Well, they spent more at one point, too. They were the highest spenders in the international. Easy. You said you don't like that, but they got Starling Marte, Gregory Polanco, Alan Hansen, Willie Garcia, Polanco's not garbage, man. He's still
No,
young.
he-
He's
yeah,
only
he-
got a full season at bats under him. You got to let him.
He's not ready yet.
No, he's definitely. Well, they got to start letting him face left-handed pitching consistently. They got to trot him out there every day, and I think that will.
They really overhyped him, though. It's just a shame.
Dude, don't make a decision on him yet. I'm
Not
telling
making a
you.
decision on him. They just blew him up to be something he ain't. I mean, he ain't no star out of the box. He's got some work to do.
Yeah,
He had
definitely
less
has
work in
to
the
do.
minors than Kutch and Marte, though. So
Yeah,
they
they
rushed
definitely
him
pushed
through.
him through the system. Well, they actually signed him as a pitcher.
And I guess look how that works out. It don't.
Pedro Alvarez was rushed through the system too, but that's why you don't really want to do that, and that's why they don't do that much. But another international signing here they didn't mention was that Dilson Herrera, who they dealt and now is a top prospect. But he mentions they have Andrew McCutchen, who was drafted under Littlefield, but he doesn't mention that this regime actually re-signed him, so that's a big plus for this regime too, to be able to extend McCutchen.
It seems like they have a lot of misses on pitching, though. That's what might spur.
What over the past? We'll say from 2012 to 2014. I mean, it's only
Sure,
turned into it's only turned into Garrett Cole, or I mean 2008 to 2011. We'll say, because 2012 to 2014, like I said, you aren't going to see those players yet, and that's why the Pirate system is stacked.
Well, you can see players if you find the right ones, though. But you know what I'm saying?
the problem with the young
What do you
Pirate
mean?
arms, they keep having Tommy John. You would have seen
mean-
Ty on already, and
Yeah.
you probably would have seen, what is it, Kingham that went down? The
Yes,
other one,
Kingham.
You might have
Another
seen him
That's what
late
gives
in
people
September this year.
That's what gives people the impression that the management's not doing well, because these drafted pitchers that we have
But
are nowhere near the big league level yet.
But my point is, man, it's first of all, if you find one impact player out of every draft, you're doing a pretty good job. I just mentioned the Giants. That's who they found. Madison Bumgarner was 2007. If you take him out, since 2008, they found Posey, Panic, Crawford, Heston, and Duffy as impact players. And some of these guys have to even prove it over a full season still. Now, I do say that is a good draft because they're finding professional ball players.
Right.
But people expect the Pirates to have 20 prospects turn into elite players. You can't have it. Doesn't happen like that. Even the Cardinals, they're not producing all these players. Now, they had Michael Wacha, Carlos Martinez recently as two pretty good-looking pitchers, and the Pirates still have yet for Taillon and Glasnow to come up and be the same type of thing. But I'm just saying, 4 guys out of 2008 to 2011 is not bad at all. You still got the guys from 2012 to 2014 yet to make an impact. So he's judging 7 years, but he should actually be judging these first 4 years with Pedro, Mercer, Cole, Justin Wilson, who turned into Cervelli, like I said, and Jared Hughes, who's been an impact arm out of the bullpen.
Jared Hughes, yeah, he's been serviceable.
Where'd Melanson come from?
He came from Boston. We got him from Boston in a great deal.
Yeah.
Not just a regular deal.
Well,
Talk about a
we
great
gave him
deal.
Joe Hanrahan, who went
It's
on
garbage.
He had Tommy John like a week after we dealt him to him, and we got Melanson, who turned into a great
Melanson
closer.
and a couple other guys
Penguins made a big
Yeah, they
that
see.
that
but-
play.
See, that's the thing. They haven't been great drafting. I'm not going to say they're the best drafting team in baseball, but they've done fine, and they have one of the most stocked minor league systems. Just from the
ninth best.
Yeah, some people probably say ninth or whatever, but you got to remember Cole, Marte, and Polanco are no longer there. The Cubs are actually dropping off because Bryant's not there, and Addison Russell's their 2 top prospects. They're in the big, so their system drops off. You know what I mean? But it's a mix of how the Pirates do. They do great in international signing. They draft well, at least above average, because, like I said, you're comparing it to the 2 most successful teams in the National League, and they're just right up there with them in terms of draft. And then they made nice signings like a A.J. Burnett and a Russell Martin, and they made good deals to bring in people like Cervelli and the Moreland Birds.
It's been the best management we've had.
Oh, yeah.
So why criticize, you know?
Well, I understand people want to criticize, but I just didn't like Dejan making it like our pick from last season should be in AAA right now, you know? What was his name? Cole Tucker? He has years in the minors, you know what I mean? Every team's players they drafted from those seasons are not going to make an impact anytime soon.
Might have been smoking the reefer when he wrote it.
And like I said, the Giants, they do draft great. They came up with 5 good players over a 5-year span, 5 impact players, so that is good. But the Pirates are doing the same thing. Whether you like these players or not, they're impact players for the big league team.
Right.
Bottom line result, I think, as far as Dejan's trying to say is, look at the World Series the Giants have won and the lack of World Series the Pirates have won. So like you're saying, the Pirates are doing good, but maybe they could be doing just a little bit better.
Well, you got to remember, Neil Huntington came in here at the end of the 2007 season, so his first draft was in 2008, and he said, give me 5 years to turn this team around. It was exactly 5 years, and they had their winning season. And he didn't say we were going to peak in 5 years. He said he was going to turn the team around in 5 years. They have yet to peak. They're minor league. I mean, these pitchers in their minor league system are going to make this staff dominant. I know we're going to lose Burnett in the end, but they should all be up and pitching in the bigs while we still have Francisco Liriano. And you're going to have a huge pitching staff for 2, maybe 1 season. But after you get Liriano, you're going to go out and maybe sign another pitcher. Or maybe you sign Liriano longer if he's still pitching great.
His arm's going to fall off.
Next, you're going to see Alan Hansen sometime this season. He's going to be a nice utility infielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, I believe. He's a triples machine.
Better than Serpico.
We mentioned him in our prospect check segment this past week. Go check that out if you want. And then you're going to see Josh Bell next season, I believe. Pedro, we're going to try to deal him in the offseason.
Pedro, goodbye.
Look, yeah, and then that'll take off one of the guys that they drafted under this new regime, and then it'll just be Mercer, Kolb, and, well, Cervelli from Justin Wilson plus Jared Hughes. But that's what happens as time goes on.
Hey, man, I don't know if I like him getting rid of Pedro because that's going to get rid of a segment for us to argue on all the time.
Please believe. Neil Walker might be dealt this offseason, too.
Well,
Alan Hansen's going to be taking over second base.
They have Hansen, so I think it's a mistake to get rid of Walker if you don't have anything behind him solid. But if you have somebody as good as Hansen, then I guess you got to sometimes cut ties.
Well, we'll have to see what Walker does here, too. I mean, he's had a bad season so far, but we're going to do a segment here coming up, so look out for it in the coming days. But Neil Walker has blown up recently, and hopefully he keeps it going for him. He'll have more trade value in the end, too.
Maybe he's eating at Permanis again. I heard he cut it out of his diet, try to be healthier. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you guys for coming in studio. Thank you, fans, for listening. Fans, you can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimtowin. Check out the website at thespreadnews.simplesite.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.